Co-op Mode, round 110. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra from beautiful Savage, Minnesota. 144 days straight with no grass to be seen. Joined by Mr. Mark, the Canadian Carabin. You know, apparently he's in the part of Canada where it's half the time it's a Caribbean and half the time then you're getting like tropical storms. So I don't know. I don't understand where, Mark, you are, where you essentially aren't like covered in like icy snow half the year.
Yeah, no, I mean, right now there's still some snow on the ground. We had a bit of a storm. Like, you always get that like springtime storm late in the year kind of thing, and that goes away pretty quickly. So that's melting. We can see some grass and things are starting to warm up. So it's pretty good over here in Atlantis. It's I always forget how far north close to like Canada you are. So it always throws me off when you get snow earlier and later and just covered like that. It's weird.
We're far more north than people think. Like Minnesota, where we're at compared to everybody else, it's like, oh yeah, we're way too. I mean, I'm only 3 hours from the Canadian border. I believe Winnipeg is the nearest big city. So, and I've been there. So it's actually a real city. But Mark, I was going to say Atlantis. Is Donald Glover making a spinoff with you in it?
Hopefully.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's just my take to be witty today. Oh, well. But, we're joined by, I would say, the better half of the PlayStation Trophy Room. Mr. Kyle Stephenson. And Kyle, you're Mr. K-Step. I couldn't figure it out for a long time. Now I'm like an idiot because I'm because it's not like Mr. Joe Mo, Moran,
Yeah.
So
it wasn't until after I changed it that I realized that we have a weird branding thing, me and Joe, with our own personal Twitter handles. I did it because I used to be a teacher, and at summer camp when I worked there for 13 years plus, they called me Mr. Kyle. So I'm used to Mr. So it's like, that's fine. And then K-Step, I think, is a nice little shortening because any version of Kyle on Twitter has been taken. And I was very upset about it. So it's like, all right, Mr. K-Step, that's fine. And then after I hit submit and I was happy with it, I was like, oh crap, Joe's Mr. Bad. Oh no.
That little bit of synergy works though. That's kind of neat. Especially if it's a happy accident,
Absolutely, a very happy accident. Yeah,
and you could just explain it's like some K-pop dance move or something.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go with
just some body rolls as I explain it. Yeah, it will work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Kyle, thanks for joining us. And before we kick things off, you've been on, like, you're a 3-timer now because you've been on twice for co-op mode. One on SFU with me and with me when Charlie was out. But the important thing is you got some big stuff happening coming up. So tell people all about it.
just
Exactly.
Little tiny things happening. So I'm one of the co-founders of 6-1 Indie, which is an indie gaming site where we just celebrate indie games and the voices that bring them to light. Last year, we decided, hey, why don't we just do our own showcase? Because indie games don't get a whole lot of love on that front. And last year, I think we had 17 or 18 games. And the games that submitted for that are the games that we included. This year, we're like, oh, let's do it again. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's blow it up and make it even to like a more full-blown production. So we have 33 games out of, I don't know if we've said it, the grand total publicly, but it's close enough. I'll say it here. We had over 500 games submitting for this. Yeah, there is a ton of games that we had to comb through, and there's a ton of games that we weren't be able to show, but we are fans of showcases. We love watching them, so we know kind of what works, and we don't want a super long one because that will do a disservice to the games we showed and whatnot. So basically, anyway, we're doing our own showcase, the mini indie showcase on youtube.com/61indie on Wednesday, March 22nd at 12 p.m. Eastern. We call it the unofficial kickoff to PAX East. Not affiliated in any way, but like PAX East is the love letter and home to indies.
They don't have to know. Tag yourself on
it.
Right,
oh no, we absolutely do until they send us a check. Be like, hey,
oh no,
let's do this thing.
no cease and desist yet, though, right?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we just want to celebrate indie games, and we had a great time doing it. And I hope everyone at least walks away with one game. That's the goal. It's just one game that they want to play.
So does putting together something like this give you kind of more appreciation for a Nintendo Direct or PlayStation Showcase, where, especially where, listening to you say, talk about the amount of games that you kind of culled down to your personal favorites or the group's personal favorites or whatever, however you chose those. But there's always that, I find anytime there's a Nintendo Direct and you get that sizzle reel of like, here's another 30 games that are coming out over the next few months. And it's just like 2 seconds of each
and you
one.
might see a name. It's like, what was that game?
And you're like, that looks cool. That looks cool. That looks cool. But there's always like someone on Twitter that's like, I can't believe they only showed, Screwdriver Simulator for 2 seconds. Where was that show? Like, does that give you more appreciation for that type of like, at least there's a sizzle reel, at least, we could have had only 20 games, but we ended up doing 30 because we did, a few of them in a quick succession kind of thing. Like,
so a very simple montage of the 470 game show.
Right?
No, maybe that, but like,
I get you. Yeah.
Did that happen with you guys? Like, are there a few that you showed off a little quicker, or like, did you give each one and then decide to just, the other 400 and some are just cold?
So the rest of us at 620, we're very much anti sizzle reels in showcases. For that reason, because they go so quick, and I feel like for those games in those showcases that do it, it doesn't show off those games very well, and they're just forgotten. And you're praying that they get a longer showing elsewhere, or somewhere else down the line get to come back up again. So we have 0 sizzle reels. That's something that we're not going to do. We're just showing off the trailers completely, and we very much want to make sure that people know what the game is, where it's coming out from, all that jazz. Because I remember there was I think it was a PSX showcase where they did a VR sizzle reel thing, and they showed gameplay and 0 titles. What? You had to like Google search and try to figure out what's the game with the dinosaur that is like the cowboy dinosaur thing that looked cool. I still don't know what that game is because they didn't put the title out anywhere, which is just baffling to me. So we're actively using what we think we could do better from a showcase perspective, and what other things can do better, and put that into our thing. So like doing last year's and doing this one now and going back and watching others, I can now watch them through the lens of like, man, I wish they did this better, or I like the way we did this, maybe we can steal from that and kind of use that for a possible next one, if there ever is a next one, kind of thing.
You got to learn from the good and the bad, right? You steal what you want, and you'll learn from what you don't like, and you make it your own. And
we learned from last year's too. Like we heard from some of the our dev partners where last year was just me and Mike, one of the other co-founders, in a room at his old job, and we didn't have a script. Everything was improv. Everything was just off the fly, multiple takes, and we found out afterwards that there was a couple that we messed up some information on, and things maybe were in early access yet by a week or two, and we said it was. So we definitely made sure we, by the books, we sent everyone the script to okay, and with multiple process back and forth with everybody. So I think we're covered there. I think everything we say is true to form in the video. Who knows? We'll find out.
That's awesome.
But yeah, awesome. Definitely learn good and bad for sure.
And if anyone's wanting a VR dinosaur game that you don't know the name of, I have a code still for Primal Hunt on the Quest 2. So hit me up. The first person to send me a message gets a free dinosaur game.
There you go.
VR.
Can you put a cowboy hat on the dinosaur?
Not on the dinosaur, but
that's in the DLC probably.
You can't really see. Yeah, maybe. There's robot dinosaurs. There's badass as hell. It's
exactly. And you're a cowboy dinosaur killer. Robot man.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. There we go. That's super exciting, man. I
Very exciting.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's
and
amazing.
Joe, Kyle, I mean, this is where you and where you and Joe are different. You're doing your own thing. You're balancing 2 shows, and you're embracing the side of indie that not everybody experiences, which is fantastic. And like you talked about sizzle reel, you don't know what the hook is with indies. You got to know what the hook is, because they may not be exquisitely beautiful. They may not seem very interesting for blush. So you have it. I mean, there's only so many cup heads or something like that where it's like,
1000%.
whoa, what's that game? And it gets viral. So very good, man. You're doing God's work.
On that note, Todd, I think all 33 games that we chose are that, whoa, what is that thing? I think from every, and we hit a bunch of genres. There's multiple things in each genre. I think there's a lot. If you're looking for a sad indie game, we got sad indie games. If you want fun action games, we got those. If you want weird, quirky things, they're there. So I think everyone's going to walk away with something cool.
Big question, though, is there a screwdriver simulator? If there's not, Mark, start working on it.
I mean,
I've got it ready to go.
I guess you just have to wait till Wednesday to find out.
Okay, I guess we do. But is it Phillips head or is it Slot? We don't know.
Actually, an Allen key wrench.
Okay.
All right.
Ratchet? I don't know. I can't wait to
simulator.
Know. That's the DLC. Ratchet DLC.
Yeah. But they removed
I'm shocked
one.
That's not a game. I'm shocked that's not a game already.
Well, you know what it is?
In
It's going to be
VR,
like,
especially
with IKEA, where they basically leave out like one part of the instruction. You have to figure out what it is.
It's like that. Keep talking and nobody explodes.
Exactly.
Oh, with like IKEA furniture, man, that's an idea. Someone do that.
I like it. We're giving these away for free.
I know.
What are you doing here? Trademarked. Everything here is trademarked. Yeah, call our lawyers. Blah, 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 and his partners. Yes. Well, very cool. We're looking forward to that, Kyle. And obviously, we'll share all your details so it gets out and people know what they can expect. That's very cool. But one thing that we're very excited to talk about is our Patreon. It's growing, and we're so excited for it because we've got, new shows. Mark just launched a new show all about the Bad Batch with Charlie and Katie. I mean, you guys are having a good time because you're like, there's just too much to explore in our normal show. And this is exactly what Patreon is all about, making a show for our folks who love it and new content. So look for that. That launched Friday. So you got a lot of content from our Patreon on Friday, which was great. And Mark, is that coming out weekly or what's the cadence for that?
I think we're still talking about that right now. It was a kind of a bi-weekly plan, but we may shift gears and do that because there's not that many episodes of the Bad Batch left. So we're trying to kind of decide that behind the scenes, but absolutely every 2 weeks, if we don't do a surprise drop this week on just one single episode. So because last week ended up being kind of like a full half-hour episode. And it's kind of different. We don't record it together. It's not like this. So we each give our own thoughts on it. So it's basically 5-minute monologues from all three of us on what we thought about each episode, the highlights, character developments, character arcs, what we thought about how this fits into the overall Star Wars story, all that kind of stuff. And then basically I took everyone's audio and filled in little bits. So I do an introduction. I say, thanks, Charlie. Now move on to Kay. And I just basically line everything up that way. And then at the end, I put in like a thanks for listening kind of thing. So it's a weird kind of different show that we decided to do it that way just from a scheduling standpoint. It allowed all three of us to do that on our own pace because we all watch the show in different times. And Charlie really likes to give his thoughts as soon as he watches something. Where because if we got
Charlie watches something at like 3 a.m. in the morning when he wakes up,
that's it, right?
On. Yeah.
And so it's not really reasonable for me. Like I want to record late at night. He wants to like share his thoughts as soon as he watches it in the morning. So this way it allows us to do that and have that flexibility and then come together. And I just kind of stitch everything together and we give basically 3 different quick takes on each thing. So it's kind of a different show and it's something different than we do in Holocron Chronicles, which is now shifted over to talking about the Mandalorian and not giving us a bloated show. The first few episodes of Mando filled up like an hour and 15-minute episode for Holocron Chronicles. Like it went over our usual time by a significant amount. So you can imagine throwing a half hour or more of Bad Batch onto there. It's like, this is getting bloated. So it's cool to be able to break that up. And it is, if anyone's listening that's not a Patreon supporter and you still want to listen to the Bad Batch stuff, it is coming over to the regular Holocron Chronicles feed. It's a Patreon first show. So we're giving that a week. It will definitely drop on the main public feeds this week. So keep an eye out for that. Even if you can't throw us a couple of bucks, it's going to be available for everyone pretty quickly, because we don't want to take away something that we've been talking about Bad Batch for the last 10 weeks. And then suddenly it's like, well, like screw off if you can't afford $2 or whatever. So that's not what we're doing. But patrons get it first.
Yeah, and that's what I think what we want to do is release content we've recorded. A lot of our other stuff is kind of more timeless versus timely, where it's like I'm talking about something like a comic book. That's one of my big show. I talk about a comic book, which has already been out. So it's not like you have to catch what you can. But we shared that one with our good friends at the Carpool Gaming, because Sean Capri was on that one. So it's a good collaboration. So I think it's something we'll continue to put out an episode on occasion, just so people can see what we're doing. So, but to that, the people that are seeing what we're doing at this point, we've got our core members, our best bud, Jamie Prinky. Thank you so much, Jamie. BFFs, Sean, Stella, Henry Nias, Missy Merchant. But Mark, we've got some new members. Woo. And the first one, I'll tell the first one. You can give details on the second one. The first one is entering the friend zone. It's Uncle Tim Horan. This is Charlie's uncle. He is a sweetheart of a guy. He sent Charlie a check because he didn't know how to do anything.
That's not the most adorable thing I've ever heard. That's awesome.
That should just bump him up from the friend zone to like BFF level. Like that is just the heart in there is fantastic.
You should probably check that, cash that, or whatever, and then ask for it back to frame.
It. Yeah. The funny part about it is Charlie's gonna have to figure out how to actually share the podcast. I said, well, you can just burn a podcast of burn a CD of podcasts, and he can play it in his car.
Yeah.
Mail him a thumb drive. Yeah,
exactly. Thumb drive. What are you talking about, Mark? You get a little crazy there with technology.
Or mail him a cassette.
Exactly. There you go. Burn a CD mixtape. Exactly. Yes. That was my custom move when I was on the prowl for girls. Yeah.
Ooh. All right.
Well, yeah. Mixmaster Todd. Oh well. Custom secret, Kyle. I don't know. Was it, you're making just what playlists? That's not as exciting.
No.
Yeah, I want to see what kind of mixtape you'd give to me to try to speak to my soul.
Ooh, challenge accepted.
I want to see your playlist. Yeah, I want to see.
It sounds like a Patreon exclusive thing right there.
I think so. Yeah, let's set up.
Todd makes you a playoff.
Todd makes you a playlist.
Makes CD. Yeah. We'll see.
I like it.
Well, we'll see. And then next, our newest BFF is Andy Milliken. She apparently I did some detective work. Found her on Facebook. I think this is someone Charlie met on the Star Trek cruise.
All right.
Charlie was
networking, man. He was
a salesman, man. He is. Yeah. He carries business cards with all of our details and hands them out everywhere he goes. So you know what? He's like, it's just like Alec Baldwin and Glengarry Glen Ross. Always be closing. Yes. But thank you, Andy, for joining. And Kyle, this is where it gets exciting and fun. Anytime we get a new member at the BFF level, we have to give them a video game power up.
Ooh.
Can be a good power up or a bad power up. It's all your choice, but it's yours from the heart. So I don't want to put you on the spot. But I'll put Mark on the spot since he's gone through this before.
Okay, I thought about this one because Andy came in as kind of a mystery person. So I'm gonna go fairly basic. I'm gonna go classic, and I'm gonna give a stealth box. So Andy has the ability at any point to take a box out of thin air, basically, and put that over their head or body and become essentially invisible to anyone that they don't want to know who or where they are. And,
so now you got to give her a Metal Gear Solid name, like Arctic Fox or something like that. What's a good one, Kyle? What's a good Metal Gear Solid agent name?
I'm trying to think of a cruise pun since he met her.
I was just gonna say it's got to be something. If Charlie met her on the cruise, then I'm gonna say the ocean ocelot, or
that's a good one.
the cruise dolphin.
Oh, the Wave Rider.
The Wave
Wave
Rider.
Rider. I like it. All right.
Yeah.
The
gonna
Wave
call it
Rider
not-
stealth box power up.
Not Reclusive Kraken.
That's endgame level bosses.
Okay.
I think Andy just got here. Maybe later.
She's more like a lower level boss. She's got to evolve and get to the higher levels.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah.
I got it.
I like
Okay.
it. I like
Very
it.
good, Mark.
Yeah.
I like that one. Oh yeah. Okay. So mine will be she continuously has a theme song running behind her from a video game. So, and it has to be one that can't drive her insane. So it can't be like the Mario music. Maybe Legend of Zelda is good enough, like the overworld theme. I never got tired of that. I loved it.
I've never gotten tired of the Mario Brothers theme song. You're kind of upsetting me that you did.
Well, no, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I like it too.
All right.
It's constantly going. Like it doesn't start at a certain moment. It's just
It
there.
speeds
forever.
up and slows down depending on what you're doing, but it's always
Okay.
there. Like it just,
'Cause
maybe it changes too, right?
Okay, I was thinking
More
like
cinematic.
any milestone. It's the Final Fantasy victory theme. The da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Oh,
But
what if that was your...
if it's continuous, I don't know which one I would want. Then.
I mean, you could expand it so like every time you like send an email, you get like a victory.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Anytime you pay your taxes, that little bit
Dollar
comes up.
signs appear above your of your head, and
Yeah.
or they fall away.
Yeah. Or in the
Wario
Mario theme,
coins.
the coin box.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Excellent. Okay, well, hopefully Andy likes that one. So Kyle,
Yeah.
I'll give her the power of constantly wearing Depends, just in case she hears boss fight music in the middle of the street. She just
thanks, Mark.
Yeah, that's good.
I
Yeah.
don't
that
know.
will be
That
our
would terrify me. Can you
that'll be
imagine
our-
that? You're just like
Oh.
strolling down the streets, like do, and then the Doom music kicks in. You're like, what the hell's going on?
Oh no!
It's just heavy metal guitars, and the sky gets ominous.
Mid-sleep,
that is
just-
terrifying.
Oh my god.
We liked you when you were here, Andy. Sorry you had to leave.
Well, don't leave yet, because I'm going to give Andy the rare
okay.
candy.
Oh,
I'm going to give her a rare candy from Pokemon. So whenever she needs a little pick me up in experience, like in my case, I'm job searching right now. I'm unemployed once again. If I could just take a rare candy to give me a year of experience to meet the minimum requirements of some of these jobs, I'd take that on a heartbeat. So Andy, use it
I like
wisely.
that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's a good
who
one.
doesn't want like that experience boost? It's like the most valuable thing you can ever have.
1000%. Yeah.
Very,
Just
very good.
fake it and say that you worked at Twitter.
Oh, that's true.
I don't
That's
think they
true.
have an
no
HR
check.
department anymore.
I did see that. Yeah.
Boss
Yeah,
move.
who are you going to contact?
Yeah.
That was the
They don't even know. Yeah,
Senior-
I worked there for 10 years. Hmm.
100%.
I made $10 million a day. That's my asking price. You can't fact check that.
You lost it in Bitcoin too.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining, Andy. Uncle Tim, welcome to the show if you ever listen to this on a burnt CD. And thanks for our Patreons. If you want to check out our Patreon, go to patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. So now we get into, man, we haven't even really talked about video games yet, have we, gentlemen? And we're not even going to start.
Power-ups.
We're going to keep going. Well, this is video game related. We're doing Buy Rent Return this week. We're doing Scary Enemies. And this is really influenced because Resident Evil 4 Remake is coming out this Friday. I cannot wait. Also, we have the Dead Cells DLC that came out for Castlevania. So I'm like, you know what? It's not Halloween time. And Mark said, hey, why not? Scary Enemies this week. So I've got vampires, zombies, or werewolves. So with that, basically the rules of Blockbuster, maybe you buy a movie that you kept too long, you return it right away because it's horrible, or, you're okay with the rent, but you don't want to own it. So those are what we got here. So we got a few folks from our Discord that came in. So Mark, I'll take the first one. You can take the second one. From the Winter Gamer, he'd go with zombies because I would guide them to ledges and drop kick them off. Good move. Werewolves, where I wouldn't need to fight them all the time because you need a full moon. Good idea. And return vampires because I know I would have the bastard beaten, and then I would see another health bar filling up for them. Second round of the boss.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Who sent in this next one? I've got
Famous Seamus.
Okay, Famous Seamus. All right. There's the name. Yeah, the document's a little. Spacey. There we go. All right. So he said, "Bye, vampires. They have super speed, strength, and mind control. So yeah, that's scary." So he's going with like scare factor.
Oh,
Like, what do
worst.
you
Okay,
want
so
from
the
this
worst
game? Like,
ones. Okay.
give yourself a challenge kind of thing. So that's very different takes between the two. That's interesting to see. Rent zombies in large numbers. Zombies can be scary, and I don't have any guns, so I can't just shoot them in the head. I think he's going IRL for this one too. So he wants a challenge, and he's not afraid to admit that he's not quite ready, which is I think most of us. Sure, I can maybe lead them to a cliff or an edge, but with unlimited numbers, I might become exhausted. And he would return werewolves because they only go out in a full moon. So as long as it's not a full moon, I'm good. All right, I get that.
It's like he's managing his resources of like enemies and what the best bang for your buck. Like I could see this like in a game where you have. I mean, I think maybe Dungeon Master was like that, where you had to actually like buy like enemies and place them, and how do you use them? Kind of like Plants vs Zombies kind of thing like that. I kind of like that. The sim of being like a boss guy that's controlling the dungeon and who's in it, or a game, and you're kind of like the what was it, Left 4 Dead, and you're the what was it called, the orchestrator, where the AI was essentially was adapting to what was going on and putting more enemies there and doing things. It was really cool.
Wasn't that like the proposed like new Fable? Wasn't that going to have a mode like that?
Yes, it was going to be AR. It was going to be what, 4 versus 1 or something like that.
What was it?
Yeah,
asymmetrical.
Asynchronous, something like that.
Yeah. Lastly, Slosh Ritter got in at the very end. He said, "Buy vampires for making Castlevania an iconic classic. Very good. Rent werewolves and beware the Sons of Erigol and World of War Classic," which I don't think any of us have played. And return zombies for no clear iconic individual and being so played out in the last decade. So good point.
Yeah, fair.
Well, thanks, folks, for giving your take. Now we got to go to our take. So, Kyle, what would you pick?
Oh, man. So in terms of scare factor, I think I'm going to return zombies. Just because it's terrifying, for sure. But compared to the other two, less so. And I think it also depends on the type of zombies we're talking about. Like, if we're talking about 28 Days Later zombies where they're sprinting, or like these zombies, I'm taking them all day. But if they're the slow moving kind of Walking Dead types, then yeah, we'll return them. I'm not too scared of them. So it becomes between both, with like vampires and werewolves both have similar things going on where it's nature dependent on when I should be scared of them. So like vampires, as long as I'm in my bed at night, I'm fine.
Don't invite them in.
As long as I stay inside and they can't come in, I'm fine. Werewolves is like once a month kind of thing. So I think I'm gonna buy werewolves. I'm gonna rent the vampires.
So your take was what you can survive against?
Kind of, sort of. Yeah. In terms of if we're talking like games, though, I'd be kind of similar.
Okay.
I feel like there's not too many like werewolf games where they're the enemies other than Village.
That's true. Yeah. I was thinking about that.
We're getting vampires in Redfall, which is awesome. And obviously Castlevania coming back. Zombies, there's millions of things with zombies in it, but yeah.
Yeah, and Resident Evil, has all of these now, which is just kind of crazy considering it started with zombies.
It's wild.
Okay, Marky Mark.
That was kind of exactly my take was video game wise. What do I want to play? There's a very loud car outside. I hope you guys can't hear that. So my video game take was very, very much kind of in the same thinking. Zombies are overplayed. There's so many zombie games like Instant Return. Next up, middle tier, vampires. We've seen them a bit. We're getting them in Redfall. Scary, yeah, sure, but have been played a little bit. So I'm gonna rent vampires. I want a good werewolf game. I want something where it's just terrifying. There's a pack, maybe there's a few just werewolves can be absolutely terrifying, and we haven't really seen that. I want that like underworld type, like whatever it's vampires versus werewolves or just werewolves on their own, because like they can mess some stuff up. And it depends on what kind of werewolf it is, but I think they can all be terrifying in their own right. There's the more like bipedal, still kind of human-esque kind of werewolf by night, kind of that kind of thing. Or there's the full, like just a giant ass wolf that's just coming at you like a hellhound. So I think no matter what way you steer it, like werewolves haven't been played enough, and I think are kind of ripe for some gaming goodness. So that's my buy.
Okay, very good. Well, I was thinking from like a gameplay perspective, because I'm like, what are really a good, challenge, are good for like different mechanics and genres. And that's why I'm buying zombies, because I feel like they're good cannon fodder. They are challenging at points. Think of like what is it, Dead Rising? That game, it was kind of like just got so silly, and they were fodder, but there were so many of them, they get in your way. But then you've got different types of zombies and the different mechanics you can play around with them. So that's why I was going zombies with buy. I know they're overdone, but I just think they are kind of timeless in that fashion. Whereas I think werewolves could go probably a rent, because your point, there's not a lot of in them, but they are unpredictable. They're fast typically, and they are typically not just regular fodder. They're used kind of as a boss or more of a, like even in Village. Wow, when one showed up, you crapped your pants, and they're like, how am I going to take this guy out? And they were typically together. So you had some actual strategy with what the werewolves were going to do, because they could communicate. So I really like that. And if you want a good werewolf game, The Quarry, really good. Doesn't seem like a werewolf game, but it is definitely. It's really good. And then vampires. The problem with vampires is just like there hasn't been a lot of great vampire games where there's a lot of just like either they're like minions and things. Typically, it's just the boss. So I mean, that's where I'm thinking Redfall is going to be a really good game for that, because we're actually going to get them, but there typically aren't many games. So I'm like, they're typically bosses. So for like boss fights are typically not that great all the time. So I'm like, that's why I'm returning vampires, but. I appreciate everybody's guidance on this.
How would you feel if we got a What We Do in the Shadows vampire game?
Like a Telltale type of game? Are you thinking like that, Kyle?
Yeah, that'd be cool, right?
Oh, this would be so good. Who would you play as? Would you play as
Guillermo?
Guillermo, not the energy vampire.
I would love that so much, but yeah, Guillermo would be fun.
I just want to be Jackie Daytona working at a bar and a big fan of a volleyball club from high school.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I was just thinking of a cool werewolf game like Oregon Trail, where like or like a road trip kind of thing, where you're a group of, you're a party of 5, whatever, and every night you have to go out and like hunt for food, whatever, stock up, and you level up the party. But at some point during the trip, there's going to be a full moon. And one of you are going to turn into a werewolf, and then it turns into that everyone against the werewolf kind of fight. So if you are putting like all your experience into this one character, and they're super strong, but they end up being the werewolf, you're screwed.
So like a Dead by Daylight or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
something
that
like
would
that
be cool. Yeah,
that'd be cool, right?
Randomized. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, and I was just thinking about that. Again, because they're
TM. No one steal that idea.
Exactly. Take it to the bank. Kyle
checks.
Co. Unlimited. That's your new company. Well, I was thinking there was that
showcases.
game.
I'm making games now.
And we're going to get into what we're playing, but we are going to talk about VR as our main topic. But one of the games, there is a VR game, which I don't even know where you can play it. Probably PSVR, was Werewolves Within. Ubisoft game. It was that whole one night the Werewolf Ultimate, where you have to determine who the werewolf is. Kind of a cool social game. I don't know. I mean, it's probably in PC VR, which you could probably play through Oculus, like Airlink, maybe.
It was a PSVR one.
Is it on Oculus or no?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, regardless, that's the type. All these are really cool games. So hey, werewolf game designers, get some really fun like hair tech, and use the PSVR 2 to its best example. So let's get into what we've been playing.
Like it's currently on Oculus Rift, Windows, and PSVR.
Oh. It's not a very hard game to port. I mean, it's not exactly a high-end game, so it definitely seems like that should just be on Quest.
How is that movie adaptation? Has anyone seen it?
That is on my list to see, and I've heard it's phenomenal because it's got a lot
Okay.
of great actors and
Yeah.
actresses in it. The AT&T girl. Oh, I'm trying to remember his name. The black guy he's been in a couple of funny things. He was in The After Party, which you've watched. Have you watched that show?
I am not. No.
On Apple TV Plus? It's awesome. It's about a high school reunion, like 5 years
Oh.
later, and it's
Okay.
very good. And a murder happens. It's really, really
sweet.
good. It's
All right,
really,
cool.
really good.
What was that?
It's called After
He was
Party.
in New Girl as well. Sam.
Yes.
Richardson.
Sam Richardson, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds.
He's
familiar.
we're just rewatching New Girl, so he just partnered with.
I've
Winston.
never watched New Girl, so I might have to start watching it. But he's really good in it. But yeah, Werewolves Within, I don't know if Ubisoft really had much to do with it, but I've heard really good things about it.
All right, cool.
Well,
He's
very
in
cool.
Ted Lasso too, right?
No. He is in another show. He's been in a few other things, but he's always really good in anything he's in. Well, now we're going to talk about some video games, folks, because, we're 35 minutes in. Why not? So, Kyle, tell us what you've been playing.
Sure. So before new games came out, I hopped into Shadow Mordor again, or restarted Shadow Mordor. It's been a minute. I never finished it. It's so weird how far we've come in games. If that feels like a recent game, I mean, all intents and purposes, it is. But it definitely is already dated. The open world I thought was huge back in the day. It's kind of small.
Oh.
And the Nemesis system's still amazing. I am shocked that they have not taken advantage of that in other WB games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was hoping that being Gotham Knights, but
it makes sense.
Missed opportunity. Yeah, for sure, a missed opportunity. Don't know if I'm going to continue it. It was kind of like I'm bored. Let me hop back in and whatnot.
Shadows of War, the sequel,
yeah,
much better because they added so many awesome mechanics. You essentially build a team of orcs, like an army of orcs. You influence them. It's phenomenal. My son absolutely loves that game.
Maybe I'll just hop into that one. But yeah, and then that was until WWE 2K23. Got that. It is the best WWE game in a very long time. They finally listened. They made the right choices. It's way less buggy and glitchy than years past, where I remember in a tag team match, my partner just walked off into the crowd. And on the same plane as the ring too. Like, he didn't hop down and go to the barricade. He was just walking on people's heads infinitely into the distance. Exactly. Jesus. Or the ropes glitching out, or someone getting stuck on the ropes and rubber banding and whatnot. Haven't run into that at all yet. The gameplay has certainly been fixed. It's more of an arcadey thing. It's simplified where you have the strikes I'm playing on PlayStation, so the square button, X are heavy strikes, and then circle is grab, and then you can do square and X after you grab to do the suplexes, more complex things. So it's way more simplified than it was in years past. Creation Suite is awesome. GM mode is so good this year, where, if you're not familiar, you run a show, either Raw, SmackDown, one of the main shows, and you draft a roster. Then you have to basically run a year's worth of shows, pay-per-view, build rivalries, pick the matches, manage your finances, whatever, go against the other brand stuff. It's super in-depth, and it's a good time, for sure. Cool. I don't know if you guys are wrestling fans or played wrestling games in the past, but this one's pretty good.
N64 days is the last
okay.
thing. Yep.
WCW
versus NWO.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a wrestling fan, but I'm not very good at those complicated things. So I go back to the WrestleMania, the game where it had Doink the Clown. Oh, yeah. It was a weird NBA
Doink
Jam
is in this one, actually.
Doink is back. Yeah, I love that game though.
It's a huge roster. Yeah,
yeah, I love that game because it was like NBA Jam with wrestling, where you'd get the big power ups and stuff. It was so good.
Yeah. It's not quite that arcadey,
but a little bit
more interested.
It's
It's
when sports games get so technical, and I love that because the people that love them and the people that play them every single year, you need that, right? But that's not something I'm gonna spend a ton of time in, like I do with like Fortnite or something like that, and learning the mechanics. So it's one of those things that it's like, it looks cool, but not for me to burn some time in. But hearing that it's a bit more accessible or a bit more arcadey is kind of like, okay, all right.
Like
I
with
could
the
pay attention.
reversals in years past, they would have like a different button for like a strike reversal and a bit different button for a grapple reversal. It's all just triangle now.
Nice.
Triangle
nice.
for all
That's
reversals.
great.
If you hold down triangle, you actually block, and there's like a dodge. So it is more simplified in that way, and I think it's way more easier to pick up a controller and actually do cool things. Where in years past, it's just like, okay, what button combinations do I need to do to get to the really cool move that I want to do with this person? So it's way more fun trying to figure that out on the fly.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my time with WWE.
Nice.
Playing Tchia. I can finally talk about it now. I'm happy
Nice.
this landed because the embargo went live today. Tchia is a new indie game coming on PlayStation and PC from, I'm going to butcher the studio's name, is Awa Keb, I think. First game of theirs. The game is all about their home land of New Caledonia. It's inspired by them, and it is beautiful. It's charming. You play as little Tchia and on her journey. And it's really just discovering the world and exploring the world. And it's just culturally awesome. I love learning about this world. I haven't finished the game, but I'm just stuck bouncing back and forth and doing the collectibles and doing the different races. And you can take over animals and wildlife for a little bit, and you can fly and swim and whatnot. And it's very much like, and I don't know if I ever told you guys this before, I'm not a huge Zelda person. This is very much a Zelda game that I'm more into. Where it's got like that stamina Breath of the Wild thing where like you can climb things, you have a meter going down, or gliding, there's a meter or whatever. It's way more forgiving. It's way more, this game's way more about just experiencing the world and their homeland more than, like combat, whatever. There is combat, but it's very much like you're not punching things, or you're just taking over like oil lanterns and gas canisters and chucking them at these magical creatures made of cloth to burn them. And that's it. Like there's not like combos or weapons or anything like that. It's just like a fun, really cool, relaxing, chill game where you can like summon different animals by taking out your ukulele, and you can change the time of day by playing the notes on the ukulele and just chill out and play along with the notes. It's a full
very ocarina. Yeah.
It's just
awesome.
It's a great time. It's a great time.
Is there like
has this been announced for anything else? I know it's like PlayStation
as of
right
now. It's day one on PlayStation Plus. If you're, I hate their naming conventions of this thing. I think it's premium. If I'm wrong, feel free to let me know.
Extra,
something
more
like that.
Expensive. Pricey. PlayStation Plus pricey.
And I think it's just PC and PlayStation right now. I don't know if they've announced anywhere else, but yeah.
All right.
Is
it
there
looks awesome.
I was gonna say, is there like a goal? I mean, is it just more of an experience type game?
There is a story. I've been so lost in doing the collectible stuff that it's been hours since I've done a story quest. So it seems like for lack of better words, there's an evil guy that takes your uncle, and takes him to the city, right? Where you live in the land, you live off the land, and he took your uncle or father, again a little hazy, off to the city, and it's basically you need to rescue him. That's the main goal, and in order to get an audience with the guy, you need to gather materials to give a offering to make that meeting happen, kind of thing. It's got some really cool some nice humor in there. It really is all about the world, though, first and foremost.
Sounds like video game kind of story, just to like
Yeah.
an excuse to go and explore the world, which is
Yeah.
fine by me.
Absolutely.
I like that. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
pretty. Yeah, seems like an all ages game too, which is what PlayStation needs more of those.
1000%. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, very cool. So, Kyle, I know you're a VR aficionado, and I'm going to talk a lot about VR. So,
Yeah, that's what I was going to hold off until you go.
Okay, great. We probably do some complimentary things,
Yes.
which is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So, let's get to Mr. Man. Mark, I feel like I've seen you play these games before. I was thought you were going to talk about like Fortnite, man. The crazy latest, like, I don't know, cyberpunk Fortnite.
Well, yeah, okay. So I mean, there is. I was going to put that on here, but there is a new chapter, a new season, or whatever of Fortnite. The trailers are a little misleading because it looks like the whole thing is like a Neo Tokyo kind of thing, and that is basically a tiny little city that's dropped on the existing map already. So most of the map hasn't changed from the last season. It's just like a few POIs have been added. There's some like traditional, like ancient looking kind of like Japanese inspired stuff. And then the city is like I said, like Neo Tokyo, there's grind rails, there's all this kind of stuff, like super fast speed bikes and everything. It's cool. It's Fortnite. I'm still loving it. I still like check in a couple of times a week and play that. But that's and I have to apparently catch up to Brendan Myers. He's got more wins than me, so that's
apparently, and he plays with this kid in his lap.
I know, yeah. I've been playing other things. Speaking of my kid, so Finn has become obsessed with a couple of things, and I've been leaning into that as hard as I can because it makes him smile. So Hot Wheels. We picked him up a couple of like actual Hot Wheels, and he loves them. And he has like a track that his uncle got him for Christmas, and so now we have like Hot Wheels that we add to that, and he loves it. So I was like, okay, well, there's a Hot Wheels game on Game Pass. I wonder if he'd like seeing that. So I downloaded Hot Wheels Unleashed and started kind of diving into it while he's there. And he always picks the car that I am. I let him like pick, tracks and other things. And I'll give him, if I'm because I play it on Xbox, so I'll give him a Switch controller and he will just play along with me.
Yeah.
And it's great times. He gets so excited. I posted, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted a picture of him playing the next game I'll be talking about, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Switch. He was playing that with my wife on the weekend. So his other obsession is Mario. He saw the movie trailer a few times. He's been watching like Let's Plays on YouTube because we'll put something on YouTube that if he likes to watch, whatever. Usually it's Paw Patrol related, but he started asking for Mario. So
sweet.
Again, lean into it. So now he asks us to play for him, or he wants to play himself. So again, in this case, I give him an Xbox controller, and then one of us plays the Switch, and he still gets so
Sneaky
excited.
Sneaky daddy.
How old
those
is he?
little tricks. 2.5.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
It's close to there. Yeah.
He's getting there. He'll like the Paw Patrol game. So like we played like Paw Patrol Racing or what was it, Gigantosaurus, Todd, that I talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
From so he's played those, and they're great because by default those games have like easy mode on where you don't have to even touch the controller and you'll still do the race and it'll keep you on track and blah blah blah. And he likes those, but his new obsession with Mario and Mario Kart, then he's just like, okay, let's play this. And the assisted mode's not quite as good. It's there, but not quite as good as the outright game stuff. But he loves watching us play and playing it, and he'll ask for like just one more race, and it's adorable. So I've been really just diving into those any chance that I can when he's awake. If I'm gaming, that's kind of what it is. So I haven't been playing much new on my own. I, for some weird reason, got back into Pokemon Legends Arceus. So I had come very close to finishing that game and then squirreled off into something else. And I think it's a mix of a couple of things that got me back in. One was just kind of like looking at my Switch and being like, okay, what can I play? What can I finish? Like little backlog, picking some things off. But two, the Ambernick, RG35XX.
I was going to say, Mark, we're going to have to talk about that in an extended thing because I got mine.
Yeah. So you got yours. Mine's on its way. So maybe in a couple of weeks, I'm hoping we'll both have them and we'll be able to do like a little breakdown of what we think of these little retro handhelds. But I'm very excited. So I was getting ready of like, what games am I going to play? Like old Game Boy games or GBA games. And the Pokemon games are obviously on that list. So, so it's like I'm excited to go back and play some old Pokemon games that I haven't for years, and what's going to get me in the Pokemon mood. So Arceus, and I finally finished it last night. I beat the main story. I did all the main beats. There's still a bunch of stuff to do, like side missions and complete the Pokedex, and there's more story apparently to continue once you do that. But for all intents and purposes, I saw the credits of that game, and I'm very happy with where I ended. So, so that's it. I've been just revisiting stuff and playing a tiny bit of Fortnite, but honestly, mostly Mario Kart and Hot Wheels.
Mark, I'm very proud of you. You didn't even come to me once, the Pokemon Master, for pro tips. Mm-hmm. So good on you, man.
Every single time I catch something, I laugh because the Pokedex entries in this one are like ridiculous, and like the Pokemon are all like different from what they usually are. And I'm like, I need to like record some of these and do another episode of Poketod.
I wait your challenge. I cannot wait to be absolutely right when you mention a Pokemon name.
Well, it'll go down.
Yeah. I was going to say something that you may be excited about. I don't know, but Finn could be really excited. And Kyle, you little ones in your life too, that Disney Speedstorm game. That's the current free to play. That. It's coming to early access April 18th, 2023. Mm-hmm. So that might be an entryway to a lot of people because it's Disney characters and carts. And I'm not sure what the roster will be. And apparently they could have like new additions like for eternity if they really wanted to. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait till Miley Cyrus is included.
Yeah, we watched the trailer for that as a family. We got very excited. He as soon as he saw Mickey and Donald, it was because he has like Hot Wheels or like die-cast metal cars of like the whole Mickey group that he loves. So of course, seeing them on TV, it was like he's holding his Mickey car and he's seeing it on TV. And it's just like, okay, roads to racers, but we can play it. Like, let's go. So yeah, definitely excited.
It's only a matter of time before like Marvel and then Star Wars, and it just gets crazy.
100%. Yeah, exactly. If this is a free-to-play game, I will throw some money. Just like you give me Star Wars DLC, shut up and take my money.
You're in.
Look at my Fortnite locker. Exactly. Star Wars and Marvel DLC. Yeah,
and like a mini TIE fighter on the course.
Oh, yeah. Oh hell yeah.
No, they're just gonna use those weird Hot Wheels Star Wars cars, like the Vader mobile. That's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be ridiculous.
I'm still 120%.
The Yoda van. That's not even a thing, but I just made it up. Or maybe it is. Yeah, let's see. Oh, well. Let's see. For me, I played the Diablo 2 beta on PS5 this weekend. And the funny part is to get a beta code.
Oh, Diablo 4, right?
Yes, Diablo 4. Did I say Diablo?
You said 2.
Oh, no. I did not play Diablo 2. Did not play the remaster or whatever. No.
Okay.
Yeah. I was waiting I couldn't find a beta code for that game for some reason. Yeah. I had to go to like Jack in the Box. No, no, I did get the beta code for Diablo 4. And the funny part about that is to get one, you had to go to KFC.
Oh, no, you got a double down?
No, there's controversy about this, but I found out you did not have to get a double down. You could get like any chicken sandwich and you could pick. So I like got the most reasonable of menu items. So I'm not one of those people that's going to get 2 pieces of chicken breasts fried with some bacon and cheese in the middle. That's way too big and really shouldn't eat that. But yeah, I got my regular sandwich and stuff. It was fine. But I got the code, and actually I could have canceled the order because they gave me the code and I ordered the food for like the next day. So I'm like, I'm going to be an upstanding individual for the Colonel and keep my promise. So I got the code, and this was open on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And wow, I don't know if you've played Diablo in a while. I had not played Diablo since Diablo 3 when it launched on PC. So we're talking like 11 years ago. So I really am not like the Diablo guy, but I played Diablo from the original one on PlayStation and PC, all through them. And this game I played as a sorcerer, and they limited the number of classes you could play as. Like there was 3 playable classes. So it's a beautiful game, really cool storytelling. I thought that I hadn't seen in Diablo before, which was neat. It's definitely darker. The opening cinematics is beautiful. Just, I think it's the same cinematic we've seen before. Wonderful. And it's really cool. Now, what I will say is I didn't like my class because being the sorcerer, you get your basically a couple different, and I don't know if I've gone longer, if I got more, but essentially you don't get like a melee and magic, you just get magic. Once you get your wand or your thing. So I felt like I was always in cooldown mode, and your sprint is also on cooldown. So it's kind of frustrating because I kind of felt like I'm not really geared to do a lot what I want to do. And I know the longer you probably play sorcerer, you get spells upon spells, and while the one's cooling down, you get another one. But early on the game, it wasn't very fun. And I think a better class, and I think Ryan Turford said play a druid maybe, which is kind of like a mixed class, which is melee and spells. But I think I would like that more. But a lot of people just say, just play the barbarian and go ape. So, but it's really good. And I didn't play any like any co-op or anything like that or online because it's an online game. And it's cross-play across all platforms, I believe, too. So this opens it up. So I think this game's going to be huge. And I don't know if I'll play it at launch because it's Diablo. It's not like the story you have to worry about being spoiled. It'll still be there. It's a game that kind of it's a living game. So I don't feel like I have to be there day one to play it. But I do want to play it because I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I not really ever played it on console before. I've only played it on PC, and I've become less and less of a PC like keyboard and mouse guy. So I'm very excited to play it on console, and it'll be great because, like I said, it's open to everyone. And I assume when Xbox closes the deal, this is going on Game Pass like day one. So I might just wait until that happens, but who knows? That could be 3 years down the road whenever that happens. We'll see. Jim Ryan may have to pass away before that happens.
If you do want to do some magic and you want to play as the barbarian class, just equip him with a frying pan and he can do cast iron.
Kyle, would you like to be my new co-host?
Why didn't I see that coming? I mean,
because that pan is so fast and it hits you in the face. You don't even see it coming. Mark's wit is like greased lightning. Dad joke.
Did you get that from the Ellie's pun book from The Last of Us? Where
exactly.
did that come from?
My goodness. Thank you,
That
Mark.
was very good, Mark.
That was very good. Yeah. So Diablo comes out in May, so it'll be there on buy it however you want. So it's there. I don't know if there's. I think does PlayStation have a deal, or does somebody have a deal with Diablo, or is it just nobody has a deal and just play it wherever you want?
I think wherever you want. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. It's there. It's going to be like $60 or $70. Play it. I know everybody is going nuts and saying, can a beta be the game of the year? Which is, when I hear that, I'm like, that's good. And I got kicked once and I couldn't get back in, but I did get back in, and it saves your progress. And people could play for like, I think some people play for like 20 hours. That's ridiculous. So big bang for the buck for, going to KFC. So there you go. But then we're going to get into some PSVR 2 talk. I assume, Kyle, that's what you're going to be talking. You're not going to be talking about Quest or Oculus Rift or any of the
bad boy right here.
Very good, very good. Yeah. So I'll let you know that I played this at Sean Nias's house. He got it, invited me over. We had a good afternoon of VR. I never played PlayStation VR except for a demo back in the day with Raw Data, I think was the game I played. And then I've owned Oculus Quest. Mark owns Oculus Quest 2. And then Kyle, you own PSVR 2. So I think we got a good quorum to talk about VR. And that's going to be our major topic, but I just want to talk about some of my experiences, and then Kyle, anything complimentary, by all means, pipe in. So I played, I'll tell you the games I played. Horizon Call of the Mountain, NFL Pro Era, GT7, and I played another shooting game that, quite honestly, we didn't get very far because we didn't feel it was a very intuitive game. Because Sean actually bought like 12 VR games. So he's got a huge library now of games. And I kept on saying, oh, you should play Demio. You should try this. And it's like, I didn't want to keep, and you know, in PlayStation, you can't gift a game, which is the dumbest thing in the world. I don't know why console makers don't be like, I can buy it and just send it to you.
Yeah, they finally added the ability to wishlist games in the store. But even then, we won't be able to gift games.
It's so weird. Why is that? I guess I don't know. But it's like giving somebody a gift card is like really impersonal. But you figure like if you buy them a game, that's a little bit more personal. But oh well.
Yeah.
So I'll start with Horizon Call of the Mountain. That is like the prestige game of PlayStation. Guerrilla Games partnered with Fire Sprite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is Horizon Call of the Mountain is essentially a side story. Aloy is there and you talk to her and she's short. She's shorter than me, which is saying a lot because I am only 5 foot something. And it is very cool because it is one of those games where you go and it's beautiful, looks great. The technology is awesome, but it's one of those games where you just want to like, can I throw the plate? Can I hit a drum? Can I do all these dumb things? Can I throw my drumstick at somebody and hit them in the head? Will they do that? What can I do? I just want to play with all of the rules and see if I can break them. And I did. And it was great. Like you have a painting mechanic where you can paint. It's just out of the blue. It's just really cool. Mm-hmm. And it is fully immersive where you know, you do use hand motions to pull back to get an arrow, another pull out the bow and throw and shoot your arrows. It's very cool that way. You see your health on your hand, which is really neat. It's a very cool mechanic as well. It's got, I'm trying to remember, and Kyle, you're probably better at this. The movement in VR in games is pretty standard where it's like a teleport or move with the joystick or the control stick. And I can't remember which one I did, to be honest. But Horizon does a really cool thing where you essentially, it allows you to do almost like a quick move to the left, to the right, to the back. So it's a little bit more forgiving for combat. And it's really effective. It's got the PSVR 2 has haptic feedback in the actual visor, which many people don't realize, where you can feel like air going back, a knock to the head. Very cool. The sound, it's neat. It's got earbuds like that actually are connected to the headset, and you can use earbuds. And you can it has like little holders for them too. So it's not like you have to worry about you're going to lose them.
I was like, what are these things right here? Well, what are these? When I took them out, I was like, oh, they're to put the little earphone in.
Yeah.
For a nice little keep away.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah. And they aren't as immersive, and you can use the Pulse headset as well for more of that 3D audio, which I think is really going to give you that whole virtual sense. So it's very cool. And then it's got a really cool button you just hit that allows you to see the AR VR nature. So if you lose your controllers, you can see it really easy. So I love that feature because Quest 1 didn't have it, which sucked because I'm like, where are my things? And I have to take off my thing all the time. And where do I get it? And not convenient. And then the dual, what do they call the controllers? Do they call them the dual sense controllers?
I think they're just called the sense controllers.
Sense controllers. So there are sticks, there are buttons, and it has like triggers on the inside, and they're very comfortable to hold. Very much a mix of like Quest 2, I think, and Quest 1, kind of that comparison where you can wrap your hands around it. And it's also got the I think it's got, does it have both haptic and all of the features of DualSense? I can't remember.
Correct. Yep. And it can also track your hands as well.
Yeah, it's really neat. So, and there's cameras in the headset and everything, and it's only got one wire, and the wire is attached, which is convenient and didn't get in the way. It's long enough. I didn't have a problem with it. The biggest problem I had was running into dogs or children because they were trying to be wacky kids. So yes. And
my biggest issue with the headset is it is sliding on my head a whole lot. Maybe it's because I have, thicker hair. And maybe
what are you talking about,
time for a haircut.
You got thicker hair than me?
I didn't want to say it, Todd. But like I have to wear a beanie.
Okay. Oh, really?
Just so it just keeps sliding and it comes down on my nose, and then everything gets blurry. I have to constantly keep tightening it, and then if I go too tight, I get headaches.
Oh, okay.
It's very weird. And I mean, every headset I've ever used, minus the Quest, because that has like an over the head.
Yeah, it's got to pull back. Yeah.
So like PSVR 1, I have the same issue. So maybe it's just my abnormally sized head. I don't know.
Well, it's got like a fan in it too that people talk about. I didn't feel the need to, but it's a fan, so it actually cools, because in the Quest 1 you start sweating like a bad boy in there, and then you got sweat coming down your eyes. It's not really good, and I wear glasses, and you start fogging in the glasses, so it's not ideal.
These have these really cool like silicone. Oh my god, it's like a material that blacks out outside light as well. Yeah, so you really are immersed when you're in there.
I thought from a fitability and adjustability, I thought the Quest, the PSVR 2 beats the Quest out of the ground, because it's you'd have a crank and you have a button and it goes in, and that's it. And it's like, that's super easy. It was easy to go from Sean to his daughter to Henry, who is 10, and we all have different head size noggins. I have glasses, the kids don't. It worked great. The only problem I found, it's a Todd problem, not a VR problem. I've got a very small, what they call ocular distance, which is the eyes. And almost all of them are too much for me. Like, they're too big. They don't have a small enough setting. So it's really to get it just right. And because of that, I felt like I wasn't getting an ideal, but it's the same thing with Quest. So it's not something unique to that. And you can adjust, like it's a little wheel.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mess with the wheel.
Yeah, to bring it in. But it was probably the best I've had of the experiences, which is nice. So overall, I think everything there is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Even like the little things, the pull to hold it, are super easy. They're very super intuitive, which is nice. And the way it sets your what do we call it? The Guardian in Quest, we call it whatever. Super easy as well. It's weird though. They make you look at the ceiling, which I'd not seen before, in the walls. So they actually do the whole area. So it's like mapping anything, not just the ground, but like the chair that you might be, the chair might stick out a little bit versus on the ground, and it accounts for that. So it's really, really super easy to use. So I had a blast with that. So the Horizon was great. You met Aloy. Really liked the combat. I took on one of the first beasts. Thought it was really cool and fun to do. So, but I didn't get to play too long. But the climbing was fantastic. The vistas and everything I saw were amazing. When the beast flies over your head, the haptics makes it feel like air rushing by. It's so immersive. Like, and Mark, like I said, this, when I told Sean when I was playing it, it was like being on a jungle cruise, like at a Disney park. I'm like, this is amazing. And the visual acuity, there's a reason why this thing is what it is and what it costs, because I have the Quest. And I would say the Quest is fine, but it's because it's mobile. You are limited with that horsepower. But when you hook up the Quest to like a PC, it's much better. It's just a better experience in regards to visual acuity. Like Moss on Quest 1, without being hooked up to the PC, it looks okay. When I hooked it up to my son's PC with the 3060 Ti, it pops. It's beautiful. It's great. And this thing was like, it was wonderful. I mean, just like, there's a reason why high-end VR, I think a lot of people don't appreciate it, because like, oh, why would I do that? I'm like, there's a reason, but it's a high-level entry. So with that, I think this is an option for people. It's cheaper than PC VR, which I would say this is a similar experience, and I would go with this versus that. And I'm curious to see what Quest 3 does, because they're going to say they're trying to stay around the same price point as Quest 3, and that technology grows and what they're going to do. I mean, and if that's still at around $400, that's going to be very compelling, and it might fight off people with PSVR too. So, but yeah, so that's kind of my experience with Horizon.
Did you notice while your friends were playing, did they have it hooked up on a TV so everyone else could watch?
Yep.
Did you notice? And I didn't realize what this term was until I was actually playing it, and my nieces were playing, and I was watching the screen. The foveated rendering, where like it
Super
actually, like what you're looking at is the highest quality, and then everything around it is not as high. Yeah. And you can totally tell that watching the TV of somebody playing in VR, because everything is so fuzzy, and you could tell where they are looking.
Yep.
In the headset. It is wild. And on top of like the eye tracking when you're in it, like similar to when you get your PS5 and you pop in Astro's Playroom and you finally feel what the DualSense feels like for the first time, and the haptic triggers, whatever. The simple setup of like, look at all the colors, and as you look, they pop up and make a noise, like a musical chime. I did that for a full 5 minutes because I was in awe that was so accurate. It is wild. It is such a huge step up from any VR headset I've used. It's insane.
It was neat because the eye tracking was interesting because I played a game I don't remember what the name of it was, where you did have more of a shooter. And when I think about shooting, a lot of times you close one eye, whatever the dominant eye is, and you shoot that. You can't do that because when you close an eye, it screws it up because it's using eye tracking. So I'm like, it's working, but it's a little bit different. So it really cool experience, and Horizon is a great experience for that. So I definitely say that's a must-buy game.
When you get to even craft arrows too, like when you're further in the game,
okay, I didn't get to there.
You actually have to craft the arrows and take the different blaze canisters, whatever, and put in the arrow and actually assemble them. And just the, like you mentioned it earlier, just the pulling an arrow off your back is so cool. And like walking around the world, there's these hidden targets around the landscape that you are like the collectibles for every level, and just seeing one off in the distance and then quickly just going bam and then going away, going on your journey. You feel like such a cool hero character in the moment. I felt like Legolas going through this game, just pulling it out and just pinpointing these targets.
It's neat.
It's so fun. It's so cool.
And then, of course, when I'm riding in the boat, the very open, they said, "Hey, Todd, touch the water," and you touch the water, and the haptics are what makes it feel like it's running water over your hand. Mm-hmm. And it's just really cool. I mean, and it was funny. I was watching a kind of funny. They had some indies on today, and they were talking about like they had a game
showcase.
Yep, they had a game in VR that was pretty cool. And they're talking about like more game. Yeah, we're going to bring it to PSVR too, which is great because that's what it should be. Like, hey, we can just port it because it should be fairly easy to do now with these games. So the library will grow, and that's what I noticed. Even just at launch, I mean, there's like 40 or 50 games. Like, that's not a bad number.
No, it's not nearly as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. No. There's a lot of quality stuff on there, and it's important for all VR devs to put their stuff on VR things, because then VR is not going to grow if things are kept to one single thing. Like
there's not many exclusive these days, right? I mean, it's really just what Quest funds and maybe what PlayStation funds. Beyond that, everything else is pretty much open to go after.
The big one is still Half-Life Alyx.
Yes,
that is the big one, but
which I'll talk about that experience when we get to that point. But I really want to hit on a couple other, and then obviously Kyle, you can talk about if there's anything new.
Sure.
GT7. This is the game. This game blows your mind. The fact that this is they just added this mode to a full-fledged Gran Turismo, and it is essentially the full game within VR. And the way they accounted for it in the cockpit view and all of the things, this really should have been put out. Like, this is also the must-play game. When people say must-play, I mean, this is a showstopper. I mean, it is that impressive. What it is, though, is a puke maker, or I could only play for a little bit, and it was too much for Todd. And I had C-bands on. If you don't know what C-bands are, they're just these little wristbands that go and have pressure points to help with motion sickness. I didn't have that with any of the other games. This is the only one I had, and everybody says the same way. If there's going to be one game, and Sean's brother mentioned he had the same problem, this game will do it, because you're kind of in a racing game. You're looking all over, and that's the problem. You can't get like a focal point because you're looking in the rear view mirror. You're looking to the side. When you look at the side, and driving isn't this hard, but in here, it's just like, once you get used to it, you could do it pretty well, but it's so uncanny. You're going so fast around a track. You're like, ugh. But yeah, it was a fun experience by all means, but a person with a more steel stomach might need to play it. Sean's daughter was playing it. She didn't have any problems. So of course, being young probably helps, but she almost tipped over a car, and we laughed our asses off. So I'm like, how did you do that? It was like a little Fiat. It was like, how do you do that? So, well, we had fun with that game. It was really impressive, though. If you have a game, and like I said, it's a free upgrade, so it's pretty impressive. Then the last game that I really want to talk about, this goes into antics, Mark. NFL Pro Era. This is an NFL licensed game that I think is already on Quest.
Yep.
It's on PlayStation VR as well. This is not the Patrick Mahomes game, because there's another Patrick Mahomes game which is a little bit more like virtual, like the characters don't look real.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a different game, but
okay.
that's not on PlayStation VR. That's on Quest, actually came out a few years ago. That one's more like arcadey, doesn't have like the real experience. This game is like the real NFL experience, and it's impressive. And like before I played it, like Sean was telling me, like Henry played it, but he was so short. Like all the linemen were over top of him. He couldn't throw the ball past them because it accounts for some of those things.
Yeah.
So I was worried. I'm like, I'm not a tall guy either, so this is going to go. But this game is awesome. I mean, you play it as like the quarterback of the Vikings, Kirk Cousins. You're looking at your receivers. They coming over to you. And it's primarily a offense-only game, like NFL Blitz kind of type of game. But it's awesome. I mean, it is looking around, understanding where you need to go. And Todd didn't understand that when you hand off to your running back behind, you actually don't have to run and go to a direction. I did, and ran into their couch and stubbed my toe. I looked, I cracked my toenail and had a bloody toe.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Your Richie's Plank experience to the PlayStation VR too.
It was like the Wiimote into the TV. It was Todd made the rookie mistake, but it was glorious. We had such a good time. I took video of Sean, which I'll have to figure a way to share that in the Discord, Mark, because Sean is such like, he gets this joyous kid-like nature. He gets so excited, and he threw a pass. It was glorious. It was just, and that's the game that we played the most of because we just had a blast. It was something I've never experienced as sport in VR. Because I'm like, how is that going to work? Because, sometimes it's unintuitive, and this one just worked. You had to figure out how to throw the velocity, because the velocity does play in to throw how far you can throw it, and picking the plays, and you used like your little wrist pad like the quarterbacks have, and you select your play. It's really fun experience, and it's only getting better.
It's a good time for sure. I was very excited to get it, and I played it. I don't know if it's my setting. My room's too dark.
Yes,
whatnot,
we think we had a problem. Did you have like the thing that kept on breaking it? Like it would pull you out?
It wouldn't pull me out, but like, where you look at the receiver and they have like that green ring say whether they're open or not. That just went away completely.
Really?
And
okay.
none of my passes would go to anybody. So I became Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson and just rushed the whole time. I just ran for it the whole time because nothing would work. And when I would throw it, because the targeting wasn't there, the ball would go backwards.
Yeah, I was wondering about the light sensitivity and the room environment would do something with it.
I was very excited about it because I love a sports game. I love playing like career stuff in sports games, and being the QB of the Giants is like, come on, how can I not? And it is cool, like being in the stadium and looking around and getting into it and calling out the defenders, even though you're playing by yourself and no one's in the room. And be like, all right, watch the Mike, Blue 42, and then doing the whole thing, which you don't have to. And then the roar of the crowd and whatnot, and being on the sidelines.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And then when I heard Omaha, and I'm like, oh,
yes,
what the heck?
It's just for I guess my area, I wish it worked better.
Yeah, and we had that with in Sean's basement. He had some side windows, and it would kept on looking like it was like I don't know what we got an error, and I'm like, why is this continuing to do this? So we couldn't figure it. But they're also patching the game quite a bit, so I noticed there were some glitches. I hope
so.
I think it'll be a much better experience once they get through the. I mean, PlayStation VR 2 has been out like a month and a half, so it'll get better. Yeah, it'll get better. But I think that was our funnest time, and it was a blast. We had a good time.
Yeah, that's good.
Is there? You said you got video of. Is there video of you with the tripping experience?
I don't know if Sean really planned for that, and if he did, I would probably go and find his phone and maybe throw it in Lake Minnetonka.
Okay, all right. We can start a GoFundMe that doesn't happen, and the video ends up in the Discord channel. Sean,
I'm sure I looked like it was in a Jackass video. I assume. I mean, I had to look ridiculous.
Top VR fails.
Send that video, and I'll put on the audio of, "Hey, my name's Todd. Welcome to Jackass." Like, I will put that on the video. Let's get TikTok famous. You know where to find me.
If we can find somebody that looks good in VR, they will be like treasured for anyone who markets VR, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, Kyle. Anything else in VR?
Yeah. So I went back to Moss. Now that's on PSVR 2. It's a game I did not finish on VR 1 because I ran into a game-ending bug where I couldn't progress through. There's like an elevator in the first game where you have to get on the elevator to go higher. The elevator just would not work. Nothing I would do and reset. And I was like, you know what? I'm done because it was bugging me. So I went back in. It's amazing. I can't wait to get through it and then get on to book 2, which I haven't played yet. Because I love Moss. I love Quill so much. I love what Polyarch is doing in VR. It's incredible. I played Pistol Whip. Pistol Whip is awesome.
John Wick the game.
It is so good. I didn't play it when because it was previously on PSVR 1, and I just missed it completely. And it's been on Quest forever, I feel like. But
Yep,
VR, it's just so cool. Where you have to like shoot the enemies on beat to get bonus points, and ducking at it's like the super hot like ducking out of the way of bullets, and I haven't gone back to it because my back is a little weird. So like when it comes to like the walls and you have to move out of the round, it's like I can't do that right now. So I'm gonna come back to you, but I tried playing.
I didn't expect a shooting game to be a workout. That was what threw me off. It's like okay,
yeah,
you like squats?
Yeah.
VR loves to do squats.
Like, I expected that from Beat Saber. I expected that from like Ragnarok.
Okay.
Like I was just like, isn't this just kind of like shooty like pew pew like this duck hunting VR or something like that? That's kind of, but it's like, yeah, you're gonna be doing squats and lunges and like moving around and like sweating your butt off. So like,
oh my god, you can't not feel cool playing Pistol Whip. Like it's
so
hard
good
to not feel cool playing that game.
And it's set up kind of like a movie where it's like there's like almost like this is the movie you're in when they do it. So it's very cinematic. I love it. Yeah.
Played Drums Rock, which is I think similar to Ragnarok, which is I think you just mentioned, where it's like a VR Guitar Hero game, but it's drums. And in Drums Rock, there's demon bats from hell as the notes that are coming down, different colors. It looks like the Guitar Hero track, and you have to hit them on beat. If you flip your stick up in the air and catch it on beat, you get bonus points. So like you regularly have to like throw them up and be cool as you're playing and whatnot. I love drums. I love Rock Band. Drums are my thing of choice. So I'm glad that is a thing that I can play in VR now.
Damn it! That's not available on. I'm literally searching the Quest store right now while you're talking about it.
Is that a brand new game?
It might be.
Sugar.
I know other people say that Ragnarok game might be a little bit better, but I haven't played that one yet. But in Drums Rock, they're all like cover songs too. Like there's bigger songs. They're all covers. Like they have that Evanescence song, "Bring Me to Life," is one of their songs.
The Kids Pop Band.
Pretty close, but it's pretty cool. I remember back in the day, Rock Band I think had a VR component, like the actual Rock Band.
Oh, that's right, on PC.
I wish that was always the thing that I could play, and one day
I heard the air guitar game is really good.
I also heard that. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm intrigued.
Isn't there an air guitar game on Questmark?
Yes, the air guitar does PSVR 2 do finger tracking? Like outside of
it does.
Because with Quest you can just like no controllers. You're just jamming to the guitar.
Ooh,
like an actual.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know
about that. It definitely has it when you're got the controllers on, but I mean it has multiple cameras, so I think it might do that. But yeah, Kyle, get on that. Let us know.
Oh, okay, I got it. I'll let you know. So yeah, there was Drums Rock. I talked about Pistol Whip. I played Last Brigade very briefly. It is a roguelike in VR that's also like Souls-y games where you have to like collect your I think they call them ashes after you die for bonus points. It is a shooter. It's nothing crazy, but it is fun. I don't usually play shooters a whole lot in VR, so this was another one where I couldn't play for long because of my back. There's a lot of moving around and whatnot.
Sure.
There's another good one that Demio. Let me gush about Demio for a little bit.
Demio is fantastic. From what I've heard, I've never played it.
Demio is great. My dream VR game is a D&D game where the DM creates the maps or whatever, and you get your adventuring party together in VR, and you have your character minis, and you're on the battle as you're playing a session. This is as close to that without the personal touch of an ongoing story. You're playing already made campaigns on their end, and you are literally moving your mini across a dungeon, and every room is shrouded in darkness until you go in there. Then enemies pop up, and you have cards for your moves. You just drag that card onto your mini. The mini is actually fully animated and does the spell or the attack or everything. You can get as close as you want and look around, and the strategy involved with your teammates of like, all right, you go that way and flank, I'm going to go over there, and be able to maneuver the map and see where you're going is awesome. And Demio, you can also play not in VR as well. So like if you buy Demio, you can play it just on a TV as well as playing in VR with people in VR. So a headset is not required, which is fantastic for Demio.
Is there a crossplay for this one? I know there's crossplay for what was the one I was looking at? Zenith? I think that's like the MMORPG kind of thing. It's I know Sean was talking about that, and I said I'd have to check it out, and I haven't yet. But I love seeing crossplay stuff in VR because that's like the social aspect is something that really interests me, and it's you get the multiverse or whatever, but like being able to play. But VR is such a niche product that I think that could be one of those easy little trippy downfalls that it's like PlayStation VR 2 guys are over here and the Quest guys are over here and this is that, and it's like if you just open it up, like just go. And I think that's the key.
It definitely is crossplay with everybody because they do a Jackbox thing where there's a room code. So all you need is the room code, and you can hop in and just play. Which I think, fantastic. Like you said, it makes way too much sense. Why cordon off or block other players that already know away from everyone new hopping in? You know, like it just makes sense to have everyone be able to play at once. Demio is awesome. Highly recommend.
Is that crossplay between? Because it's pretty much every system. So
it's
and
it's
how many players?
You can do four playable. 4 friends can play at once because there's 4 sides of the table. That's the only reason why.
And you can play it non-VR too, right?
Yep, non-VR. No, you don't need a headset to play, which is great. Demio's special, and they keep adding expansions. All the expansions are there as well. If you buy it on PSVR 2, you get access to all the new characters and all the spells and all the expansions that have already been out, which is great. I've only played it like we did an interview with the Demio devs on PS Trophy Room, and Joe and I wanted to hop on briefly the night before just to get a little taste of what it was. We're like, we'll play for 30 minutes just to, see what it is, whatever. We played for 3 hours straight because we could not stop.
That's amazing.
And you get those really fun moments of like, we were barely making it out of that dungeon. And Joe and Captain Logan, we were also playing with, they were both down. They were dead. And it was just me left. And the door was right there. I had the key, but I was like, you know what? There's gold right there, so let me take on this enemy real quick. If I lose this, I'm dead. It's done. I'm sorry, I ruined it. But I killed him, and then made the mad dash and made it out alive. And it's like those unique role playing moments are so cool in VR. It feels like I'm at the table with other people playing like a D&D game in real life, which is all I could ask for. Cool. It's very nice.
That's awesome.
I'm sure there's another VR game I'm forgetting, but VR is cool. I'm happy that it's a thing. I'm very happy it's a thing.
Yeah, I think at the point now, there's not a bad VR system to own, which is the best part about this. And they said there's going to be a new
Mhm.
Quest, and there's still going to be high-end PC VR. So I think this is all
Absolutely.
great. And yeah, thanks for Sean for having me over. Yeah, I mean, we had a blast. So I found, though, with VR in my own area, I need a better space to play, because right now I don't have a big enough space, and I don't want to destroy my OLED, because I'm going to hit it. And that
That
brings us into the bonus round, folks. We're talking about VR war stories. You heard mine. So now I want to hear about Mark's and Kyle's war stories. But we're also going to talk about what is another type of experience that may not exist right now that might create some really horrible moments for all the players. So we're going to start with Mark. Do you
Yep.
have a VR war story?
Uh, you know what? Not too much intensity. I've punched a wall a couple of times, so luckily I didn't do any like permanent damage to the wall or my controller or fist. But I've definitely like those boundaries are set up, but like if you're if you're kind of back from the boundary, like you set up a wall boundary, but like if you're kind of back and you really extend that punch, um, you can
Yeah.
kind of the boundary tracks with your head. So if your head gets close to a boundary, it's going to be like, hey, you're close to the wall, jackass, move. And but if you're kind of like back in the safe zone, but you really extend a punch, um, yeah, that's when kind of disaster can occur. So luckily, I haven't punched a TV. I've just punched my wall a couple of times. You can actually see exactly where I punched. Like right below this picture behind me. If you're watching
Oh,
the
in that
video,
room.
that's my living room. So like I kind of, especially if I get turned around and I'm facing that wall, and it's just like, let's go. And I have a boxing game that I play too. So
They
like
call you Rocky from now
usually
on.
yeah, that's usually where that comes from. Or like lightsabers and stuff. Beat Saber, I'm tend to be stationary, but it's when I get into a boxing match and I'm like ducking and weaving and like, throw a quick jab and it's like, that's not going to work. I need a bigger space. So that kind of thing. I did almost take out my son once, and it was like, he's like 2, right? He's gonna
Yeah.
run around, so that's why I don't play VR when he's awake anymore.
You need a
Um,
playpen around
same,
you,
same
Mark.
kind of, I know I need to be in the playpen so he can't get to me because yeah, he's just running around doing his own thing, and I'm like slashing in Beat Saber or. I think one was drumming in Ragnarok. So you're like, hammer fisting down. You're like getting really into the song or something. It's like some Viking rock that you just want to be like, yeah, smash. And you bop a 2-year-old on the
And
head.
child
It's
services is right
child
there, and you
services.
can play
Yeah,
VR child services and child protection service court.
fun how that happens. So nothing overly disastrous, and I haven't had too many like experiences where I'm like instantly sick, where I need like C-bands or something like that. But yeah, so far so good. But a couple of real close calls. I have been very dangerously close to the TV,
Mm,
but kind of realized, but like it's so easy to get turned around,
yes.
and like I like the Quest because there's no wires, but I'm kind of wondering if like a wire would help,
Like a
like to
harness,
tap me
maybe.
into a place. Yeah. Or like maybe I do need a playpen or to like tighten my room boundaries or something. Cause like I wander and I get turned around. I was playing Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. And
Hmm.
I legitimately thought I was facing this way. I thought I was facing towards my kitchen, and I was facing like the opposite direction. Like and my wife came down the stairs and she's like, "What? Do you know where you are right now?" And I took the headset off. I was like, "Nope, not a damn clue." I was in Batu, no idea which way. And she came down. And of course, I'm like swinging and like
Oh,
dodging
jeez.
around and like almost punch her in the face because she's trying to get to the couch. And I'm like way out of where I thought I was going to be. And she's like, "Can you pause that for a second and just kind of like come back to the real world and see like how turned around I know you are right now?" It's like I was nowhere near where I thought I was in my actual real house. It can be very immersive and also very dangerous for that reason. But hey, so far so good. My TV's still intact.
And you still got your custody of your child, and your wife is
Hey,
not
yeah,
divorced you.
that's all wins. W's all around for VR. Kyle, any near disasters for you?
nothing crazy. when I had a Quest and I was playing Beat Saber, I had it up in my bedroom because the goal was, I'll wake up, I'll put it on, and that'll be like my cardio for the morning, the way to start the day, trying to get more fit. So I'm gonna put Beat Saber on, and I have a very old like metal bed frame, and on the corners, I don't even know what they're for, but there's like this little metal hook that sticks out just a little too far. Of like maybe I have the frame backwards. Maybe it was for a headboard. I don't know. And I, moving around, whatever. And I like when you're dodging the wall in Beat Saber, when I took a step and the side of my calf banged into it. I was like, oh, nope, can't do this in this room anymore. Cannot risk that pain ever again.
Did you think of childproofing your room?
No, but I will now.
Like foam, the foam things.
I'll buy those pool noodles and just have them everywhere.
Pool noodles,
PSVR 2, nothing yet, although my nieces have come dangerously close to the OLED. They love the job simulator games, which are amazing. They're so good. And so they get way too into it, like when they're at the... there's a gas station clerk. A part in Job Simulator where you can act like you're a gas station clerk with these robots, whatever, and they get really way too into it by taking the products that they bring to buy and taking and chucking them at them. So they get like really too close to the TV as they're throwing. Like I make sure everything is tightened up and everything because I don't have a job right now, so I can't afford to replace anything. So on their end, but with PSVR 1, you're talking about the cable,
the wands,
keeping you tethered or whatever. Not even just the wands. I'm talking about all those HDMI cords and that
your dreadlocks.
Box. Oh my God. So many times I got caught up into that and almost tripped over and fallen. There's been many times I've almost just destroyed everything with those. So I'm very happy that it's only one singular cable on VR2. But yeah, nothing like Todd almost breaking off his entire toenail. Nothing like that.
And it still hurts. You're
let me knock on wood.
Hell?
Todd, is that your only disaster moment so far with VR?
No.
All right.
So, not children, but animals. So my dog, Rufus, wonderful dog, but he's tiny and he's 21 pounds. But he gets very excited and he wants to play with daddy, and not good because there's no animal tracking. So there's been a couple times where I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God. Because you're just not know where you're going into your mark point. And there's no like notification. It's like, and I'm wondering, like, I don't know, could they do to, but you want to have the immersion, so they can't really do anything. I was thinking maybe if they did like a north, even just for Mark, your problem, like where you're at, maybe if they had like just a north, like a compass on the ceiling when you looked up, like, north, southwest, so that gives you orientation. But my biggest almost crap moment was I was playing Racket NX. Great game on Quest. It's essentially like a tennis game, and it's almost like tennis plus Breakout. If you remember that game Breakout, where you hit bricks. So that's the thing. You're trying to hit these bricks you have a time limit, and you have to hit it, and it's a 360 around, which is just crazy because you're like, it's back. You control it. You bring it back to you. You hit it, and it can go off the thing. It's a phenomenal game. I highly recommend it to anybody because it's really fun. It's immersive, but to Mark's point, when you extend your arm past the limit. I almost destroyed my new OLED because of that. And that made me think I should not play down here because that's a very expensive problem. Like the controller of the Quest hit the side of the TV.
Oof.
And I don't know how resilient an OLED like screen is, but I counted my happiness to say that didn't destroy it. But, I do have an area that is a utility room that, because I could do wireless with the Quest with virtual desktop, which is nice. I think I may make that my new Quest area, which is great, and play it that way. I don't know if PlayStation VR 2 would work in my space, so it's probably going to be not something I play. I go over to Sean's to get my experience that, but Quest with in maybe the next Quest 3 has that experience as well, because I know the wireless link has gotten much better. that could work really well in my like utility room, which is essentially I can't hurt anything. It's essentially a lot of like I'll hurt myself before I'll hurt anything else. So plus there's a door, so I can like make sure animals aren't in there. So it's perfect. So yeah, that's my oh crap moment was like, wow, that could have gone poorly.
That breakout moment that you were just talking about, the tennis one, is why like I would love if MLB The Show puts a home run derby mode in VR.
Ooh,
I would absolutely love that. But I also know when I swing, I'm probably going to hit the ceiling tiles down here, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah, don't get like a bat, like you know those like in VR when you had the bats and things like that, like all the attachments you'd add on. Like Sean had
like
the
Wiimote ones.
Yeah. You don't want that because you're gonna just.
I'm gonna destroy.
You're gonna throw the bat.
Yeah,
walk off
in
home
celebration. Run. I'm gonna flip the bat and run directly into my OLED.
Yeah, I don't think you can claim insurance on that. It's like that. It's like those commercials. What is it, Mr. Chaos or whatever?
Yeah,
yeah, it's those. Yeah, it's so good. So we talked about our like, real world things, but now we're going to talk about what's the next experience that'll kind of really drive those type of. And Mark, I think you even can say this better than I can, but I mean, when I'm thinking of like experience that were like an oh crap experience that I experienced, which was Half-Life Alyx. And if you remember Half-Life, you had those things in the ceiling that they had like the little tongues that if you went into them, they grab you in. And Half-Life Alyx, that's horrific because you get into it and you're like being dragged up. And I didn't have any ammunition. I didn't have a gun. So I feel like I'm getting eaten. It was horrific.
Imagine that with like the feedback in the VR2.
I don't want to, Kyle. I want to sleep at night. That's horrible. Like being eaten by something. It was gross. Yeah. So, Mark, explain what you're talking about in regards to an experience.
Well, so I like I said, I talked to Sean, and I knew you had like a funny kind of tripping experience, and I knew you've worn C-bands for a couple of things. So talking about these VR war stories experiences, I kind of want to know what game franchise, already established franchise, could come to VR, PlayStation VR. It doesn't have to be a PlayStation experience or whatever, but since we've been talking about PSVR, like it can be. But what franchise could come to VR that you'd be like, that sounds awesome, but also sounds like an epic disaster, whether I'm going to just like paint the walls with motion sickness puke, or I'm going to punch a baby or something. Like what's a game that or a franchise that could come to VR that you'd be like, cool, but not until I get a padded room and motion sickness pills. Like what's that experience for you? So Kyle, you're laughing. Do you have one already? All right, let's hear it.
It's kind of a comeback story of some sorts. They already tried it, but they're like, man, maybe VR is why our first time we tried it. Maybe that's why it didn't work, because it needs a VR headset. You really need to be immersed in it to make it work. So I don't know how old he is now, but 50. Let's just say 50-year-old Tony Hawk comes back. It's like, you know what? Tony Hawk Ride could have been better if it was in VR. So we're going to bring back the board as a peripheral.
Bring back the board
that has the tracking capabilities around the edge, so the headset can track it, the camera can track it.
This is
so
a
you're fully
moment.
immersed. 1,000%
in VR, standing on a skateboard. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Balance and knowing where you're at in a space. That's a good. That matters. I think maybe.
Yeah, they're like, oh, the technology's there. It wouldn't be too bad.
I'm dying. I shouldn't have let you go first. No one's going to top that.
Oh my God. And did they find the boards? Weren't they in like a warehouse in Jersey anyways? All those boards they sell?
Yeah. Like I'm sure they're in the same place as all the Wii balance boards. They're in the same place.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But there's actually wheels on those skateboards now. And now you have to balance it and not fall off. And yeah.
Absolutely. with the Quest being wireless, right? Virtual desktop, you can VR real skate on the streets.
Go on the street.
Exactly.
That's only gonna be good with the AR taking out. You need the Quest Pro, I think, with the real.
Taking it to the streets, Mark. Nope. You know
Dude,
what?
you drive by a skate park, and it's just people with actual headsets on, VR headsets on.
It's bringing back the No Fear brand, and that's what
I
it
love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love this so much because it's so disastrous. That is the best possible. Todd, do you have anything that can even come close? Because no one's gonna top that. I know first how mine doesn't.
Well, if anything, it was funny because my son Logan was at a friend's house and they had Quest 1, Quest 2, and a Rift system at the house that all played, and they ended up playing Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm like, that's a note factor right there. No, who is doing that? Who likes that type of experience? So I thought about that, and I thought, you know what would be phenomenally awesome, but also such a huge mistake for most people, and that is Dead Space in VR. I mean, the sound, the immersive sound, not knowing what's going on, and the light, and not knowing what's coming at you, and those creatures when they start running at you. Holy crap! I mean, it's a game I would probably pay for like 5 minutes and never play again. I mean, but it is one of those experiences you think of like in VR. It's got to be a game changer. I mean, it's got to be like, wow, that's exactly what you want. But
they just need to pack it in with Depends, and you're good to go.
Do you think they'll ever? Wasn't there a Wii like on rails Dead Space?
Yes, Dead Space. I forget what it was called. It was a great game. It was so well done because you had the motion pointing
in VR. Yeah.
But at least I could look around and say, thank God this isn't real, and it was the Wii graphics. So
yeah, fair. If I see one of those little baby dolls with the 3 things come at me in VR, I'm out. I'm out.
And you hear the noise and just the squishing and the gross gurgling, and you don't know where it's at, but you can hear it. You're like, wait, it's behind me? Yeah. Oh God. And then and then Mark hits his wife because he's trying to kill the Deadite, and not good.
Terrifying. Absolutely. I have a very, very different. Well, I mean, depending if you're scared of heights or not, I guess. But I thought I was going for the more puke factor. I'm thinking Spider-Man. Spider-Man VR, because I already mentioned when you kind of like tripped playing football. I mentioned the Richie's plank experience, and there's so many videos of people trying that where like they're walking on the little balance beam or whatever and like up on a building and you feel disoriented. I know even like Walkabout Mini Golf has like a stage and they start you off and you're like up on this cliff and you're like, oh shit, okay,
that's coming to PSVR 2 soon.
Yeah, it's a great game. Don't skip that one. It's so good. So I was thinking like Spider-Man, where you're up on top of a building and you're just ready to like go down and like throw out. And I could just see people just diving off a building thinking they're Miles Morales and just like, hey, okay, now I'm in the wall.
You have to be sitting down for that.
Yeah, you have to. But I think
you're going to have people like collapsing, moving forward, like losing their balance. Oh my God.
Yeah. The only other one I could think of with that kind of motion sickness experience would be going even a step further from Gran Turismo and putting some Rocket League in there, because then you're getting the motion and the speed.
Go upside down.
Just without changing the experience. Now, I think Rocket League or something or Spider-Man could be phenomenal. Like they pulled off Iron Man in VR. A specific experience where like maybe you are sitting down, or it's a little bit like you don't have to jump. Maybe you're just thwipping and you're using the controllers. I think there's experiences there that could work in VR, but like as is, I think those two are just disasters waiting to happen. And I kind of want to experience it, but like I'm broken. So I think they'd be great. So
imagine a Transformers game where you're inside the Transformers as they transform back and forth, and you're moving all around the camera.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Hey, my head's inside my butt now. Where am I driving?
Exactly. I don't get motion sick, but thinking of that, it's gonna make me sick.
Yeah.
Thanks for making that horrific film of like the Transformers head. Where's my head at? I don't know. I never thought about that as a kid. Where does Optimus's head go?
Yeah.
Seems
So
uncomfortable.
Finn just found at my parents' place one of my old Optimus Prime toys, and Optimus, his head just literally folds down. So it's like, how does he see? It doesn't matter. It just literally folds into itself, and it's like there's nothing. He's looking into his own chest, and that doesn't sound safe. But he can drive now, so yeah.
I thought about, to build on your Spider-Man, Mark, I thought of like immediately bungee jumping.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anything that you're just like falling and you just
or just make it a Fortnite
fall
thing
on the floor and then puke. Hey, yeah,
you jump from the battle bus in VR onto the mat. Wow,
yes.
that's intense.
That would be intense. That would be crazy. Oh my goodness.
Really intense.
Whew. Well, you know what? I'm sure if we didn't say already, make sure you say trademark, gentlemen.
Yes,
trademark ideas.
And Tony Hawk, don't come for me. It's mine.
it's actually going to be Tommy Sparrow, pro skate dude.
It was you could see that happening until you said stand on the balance board, and then it just went so ridiculous. And it's like, I love that so much.
Tony Hawk Ride was ridiculous back in the day too. Why did they think that was going to work?
I love it so much. It's so dumb, and I want
it. It's a balance board, but it's also skateboard, but it doesn't move.
I remember seeing demos of like, you have to actually like put your foot on the side by the cameras to actually do the.
Yeah.
Come on now, Tony. What are we doing?
I love
Do a 720. See how that goes. Oh my God. Oh wow. Well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for picking the topic, Mark. This was well worth the ride. Yes, I'm sure there'll be video of me doing something dumb in the future. So stay tuned. With that, Kyle, tell people where they can find you, man.
Yeah, you can find me pretty much everywhere at Mr. K-Step. If you're into PlayStation, go check out the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, wherever you listen to podcast services. PS Trophy Room on Twitter, YouTube, all the things. And go check out 61indie.com. That's SIXONEINDIE for all the latest and greatest and all things indie games. And the Mini Indie Showcase goes live on March 22nd at 12 p.m. Eastern. 33 indie games, 46 minutes. It's going to be a good time. So check it out.
Awesome.
And no sizzle reel.
No sizzle reel. Absolutely not.
Excellent. Mark, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me everywhere as _Canardian. That's like, Twitter, Instagram, all the, TikTok, wherever, and hanging out in our Discord channel.
Excellent. My personal Twitter at Tchia for all things fun sports, etc. But really at Secret Friends U. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Check out our website, secretfriendsunite.com, and our Discord, as Mark spoke to as well. And if you like comic books, check out my Patreon show, Spinner Rack. It's every 2 weeks, having a good time talking about comics. So with that, Kyle, once again, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Mark, as always, stay cool on the coast.
I'm going to try.
And as always, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.